Let's talk a little bit about how policy is created. And this isn't a civics class. This isn't a class on government. If it were, you would learn that there's a legislative branch, an executive branch, and a judicial branch. And laws are created, policy is created in the federal system in the U.S. inside of Congress, the Senate, inside the legislative branch. And it's really kind of important to understand how that system works. And it works through committees. And so there is a committee both on the House side and the Senate side that deals with agriculture. And so if you have a law that needs passing, an idea for a bill that you want to get turned into a law, it's going to find its life in the committee. And the idea here is that instead of taking this bill to the floor of the Senate or the floor of the House and debating it, it goes to the committee first. And the logic is that the experts on the subject should be in the committee, right? Or at least, at the very least, people interested in the subject, for or against the topic, would find themselves in that committee. And if you're really interested in it, you want to be in the committee that covers it. And so there is a House Agriculture Committee that's a subset of the House of Representatives. And every time there's a farm bill, the farm bill starts in a committee. Every time there's any bill, it starts in a committee. The bill gets debated in the committee. The bill gets cut up and put back together in the committee. And when I say in the committee, what I mostly mean is that the staffers who work for the legislatures themselves are doing the work of putting all the stuff together. And what's very important to remember about that is those are some very hardworking staffers with a lot of things to do. And if you want to make their life easy and you're a lobbyist, you just write the legislation for them and hand it to a staffer. And so what typically happens is that lobbyists write the first draft of pretty much every bill that becomes a law. And that lobbyist hands it to a staffer, and that staffer hands it to their person, and their person goes to the committee and presents it. And in the process, of course, it's going to get edited, it's going to get altered and changed, but it oftentimes starts with a lobbyist who writes the initial bill or the first draft of it. And that draft of the bill hits the committee. The committee does the committee work. They vote thumbs up, thumbs down. If it's a thumbs down, it's dead. It dies in committee, never makes it to the floor. If it makes it to the floor, the bill gets debated, the bill gets changed, it gets altered, it gets cut up, put back together, and the House of Representatives going to vote down or vote up. And when one side of the House votes for it, the Senate or the House of Representatives, it goes to the other side, where there was probably already a committee working on a similar bill. And then you get this kind of rivalry, no, our bill. And it goes to the other side, and it goes through the same process. And when those two things come together, the House and the Senate have to have agreed on the same bill. So wherever it starts in the committee. It gets through its side of the legislature, it crosses over to the other side, they bring it back, and they have to pass an identical bill on both sides. From there, it goes up to the president where it gets vetoed or not. That's generally how these things play out. But there's one more super important thing that you need to have, and that important thing is funding. A bill can be turned into a law, and then if it's not authorized in the funding process, which again starts at a committee where a budget is created, and you go through the whole thing again, so you can actually kill off a bill you don't like by not funding it. So not only does this bill have to turn into a law, it's got to make it through the same process over on the funding side of things. So when they're putting together the budget, they have to decide if they want to fund it or not. And that's really the important thing that you need to know about how a bill comes a law in this case right here.